You don't need Netflix, need cable. I'm on YouTube, welcome to the table. We chop up locally and globally and locally. You don't really want to miss out on these conversations. Let's joke a little, huh? Like a little with that. Wine in your system with your glass a little. Expose current events talk. Trash a little, you never know these. Trash a little, get addicted to the content. Got a binge watch, you don't like it, think you want to invite it. Bet your friends watching in the house, ain't your job parking lot before you clock it. They don't want to miss a second, but it's HD content. Everybody think they got something to say, so it's an open invitation, bring it to the table. But if you come whack, just know we ain't buying in. We gon' probably turn you back and say sorry, try again. Yeah, welcome to the hood table. You don't need Netflix, you don't need cable. Yeah, welcome to the hood table. You don't need Netflix, you don't need cable.
Hey. Hey everybody, come on in, come on in. Welcome back to the Hood Table one more again. We already got people in the chat. Hey Miss Hog, how are you doing? Thanks for tuning in. We have a special guest with us today. We're going to do a little interview, a little book review, a little chit chatting, and I'm going to let my guest introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christina Nance, author of No More Closed Doors and Breaking Generational Curses. Thank you, Miss Tanya, for having me today on your show.
You are welcome, and thank you for making time for us today. I've been wanting to interview for quite some time, and I know a lot of things been going on. We have some very busy schedules, and then um, with the books, trying to get books shipped out and all that kind of stuff. So we finally got a chance to get together today, and I want everybody who's coming in to make sure you are sharing this video, liking this video, and I'm going to be dropping the links in here so that you could check out Christina's books. She got them on Amazon. Both of them are on Amazon, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, so both of her books are on Amazon, and the one that we're going to be reviewing tonight is called No More Closed Doors. And then there's another one that we'll briefly discuss, but we're not going to go into because we're going to save that for a totally different day. But that one is called Breaking Generational Curses, and I cannot wait till we discuss that one too. But because that, ooh, child, in our community.
Mm.
But and I know a lot of people don't like to call them curses per se, but hey, it is what it is sometimes. But again, we're gonna leave that to another day.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're gonna chit chat about her book, No More Closed Doors. Again, it's available on Amazon. And I'm gonna read the back of the book that gives a brief description or summary, and then we're gonna go into the book if that's okay. All righty. And okay, so the back of the book says No More Closed Doors is a book about a Black woman suffering from mental illness and her suicide attempt. It is about her no longer wanting to hide her depression behind closed doors and wanting to bring awareness to her community, the Black community. The book is about dealing with trial and tribulation and allowing God to turn her test into a testimony. So, and that's basically what this book is about, is her testimony, her words, her thoughts, her feelings about what she went through with depression and attempted suicide. So I want to first say we are from the same city, Omaha, Nebraska. And although we're not like besties or anything like that, we are Facebook friends. We are associated, affiliated, in certain areas. And I don't know or never knew like your personal life, but you know how we be on Facebook, and one of the things they say about social media is everything, people can make everything look like okay. Like you're posting, you got a new car, you're posting, you got a new house, you're posting your kids' first day of school pics, all these different things we be posting. And a lot of times people put on a fake hate to make it appear as if they're happy or not happier than they are. And I would have never like imagine before I read this book, before I saw you post on Facebook, I was like, huh, what? Christina? What had happened? I was like, okay, I need to get her book and I need to read it because it's a lot of people going through things like depression and being stressed and vulnerable and suicidal, and we would never know if they don't speak out against it. And that's basically what your book is about. I want to start off with when you were mentioning in the book, like all your friends and everybody was saying, like, why didn't you say nothing? Why didn't you tell? Like, let me know what was the thing that kept you, like, even with your husband, your children, your mom, what was it that kept you from reaching out and telling people what was really going on inside of you?
It's because everybody always call me, like, be like, what you doing? And I'd be like, nothing. And then they'll start to tell me their problems. And I
Mhm,
listen. And then I try to motivate them or steer them like, hey, girl, it is what it is. You still alive, or let's backwards plan. That's my sister's favorite word is backwards planning.
mhm,
So when they called me for that, I didn't want to be selfish and be like, I'm dealing with this, because that was their moment. They called me for a reason. So
mhm.
I didn't want to take that away from them.
Okay.
With my husband, I didn't never want to, you know, to him, he's the provider. He's supposed to be the strong one. So to see me break down, it's like, oh, you weak, or. So I didn't never want to go to him, because we're from two different sides of the track, where
Mhm,
he's street, he got that street mentality. So it's like toughen up, or it is what it is. I done seen a lot of stuff, so you can't
mhm,
really go to him with things. And with my family, we're super close. Like, my family is like, we do everything together.
mhm,
So I always felt like I was strong, and I always keep busy. So they would
mhm,
never ever know like something was bothering me, because I'm
mhm.
always there. I'm gonna always answer the phone call. If they
Right.
need me for something, I'm gonna be there.
So you were like that go-to person for everybody else,
Yeah.
but when the coin flipped, you felt like I couldn't go to them because I'm the one who like is helping everybody and being strong for everybody, and was it just kind of hard to expect them to give the same in return? Did you think they could, or did you just didn't want to just bother people? Like, was it?
It's a little bit of a mixture of all, because I'm the type of person that put other people's feelings before mine.
Mhm.
And if they're already dealing with things in their own household, I feel like what I was dealing with was going to be a burden on top of what they were dealing with. So I
Okay.
didn't want to take that to them. And then with my friends, I have a very select few of people I actually use that word with.
Mhm.
And I knew that they were dealing with things if it was within their own household or with their kids. So just going to them, and then it's like, do I go to them? Are they going to judge me?
Mhm.
Are they going to look at me like I'm crazy? Oh, girl, So
Yeah.
I just type person, I just let it kept building up. And it just got to the point where I couldn't take it no more.
Hmm. And what when do you think it first started? Because you're not that old.
No,
You're not that old.
I'm
So
39.
yeah, so you're a young gal, you're a young girl. You still do tricks and flips probably. But when do you think it started? Like, because
So
when I was reading the book, that's the one part, that's the one question that was in the back of my head because you didn't really talk about where it all came from or when when you noticed it or when you first noticed it.
So this was actually my second suicide attempt.
Okay,
My
okay,
first attempt, I was 13 years old, but that was more like I was seeking attention from my mom.
okay,
Um, I was molested, but my mom didn't know. But that'll be in this, like, that'll go into the next book.
okay.
But I was seeking attention, and I took some Pine Sol, but I also followed up with a glass of milk. You know, didn't get the reaction out of my parents that I expected. So never thought about it again. But this
Mhm,
time it was like I had it all planned out a month prior before I even attempted to take my
mhm.
life. Like, I have severe OCD, so like back then my kids was in school, so they clothes would be ironed and laid out by the week. you
Right.
know Snacks and stuff will be assorted. during that time, I was shopping, making sure they had snacks, supplies, and stuff that would last them for a month. Um, Organizing my daughter's drawers and stuff.
Oh, I
So
need you.
you guys, I did
I need you.
so they wouldn't have to worry about nothing for a month after I was gone.
Okay.
Like I will sit there, I will come down because my son lived in the basement. He was in, I think, 8th grade, 9th grade-ish. And I would just go and like look at him while he sleep and just pray over him because I felt like he was at that age where he started getting in trouble. And
Right.
I was never the perfect mom, the perfect wife, the perfect daughter. But in my household, I tried to be perfect in their eyes. But I felt I failed because my son was constantly getting in trouble. My daughter was, at that age where it was just seeing me all over again. And then my husband, we just we're just going clashing and stuff. And it was just like, you know what? I'm just over all of them.
Yeah.
And I couldn't go to nobody. And I was raised up in the households where we pray about everything because I was raised in the church.
Same here.
And what goes on in this house stays in this house. So it's like, do you go get help? Do you not go get help? Some of my best friends are therapists, so it's like it was just, yeah.
It's kind of hard. Like, we discuss it every now and then in our community, but a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people really feel safe because I mean, a lot of the times, a lot of people in our community going through the same thing. Might not be the same exact reasons behind the depression, but going through depression, suicidal things like that, and it's like we know there are people out there, but we just don't want to reach out. And it mainly has to do with the way we were raised. You reach
When
out to God.
you
That's who you reach out to.
I went to my pastor because first I went public on social media. At my 100-day mark, I went public, and by the end of the night, 65% of my Facebook friends were inboxing me and was like, "Oh my God, I applaud you. Like, my mom attempted, or I've attempted, or I've had thoughts of attempting." And I was just like, wow. And then when I went to my pastor, at first he was against me speaking openly in the church, but
Oh,
he
wow.
allowed me to speak in the church about it. And by the time I left church, two of the ushers came up to me with written hand notes and handed it to me. And one of the ladies said that she could never engage with the friends in her neighborhood because her mom was silently dealing with mental illness, and she was afraid to have people come over. She was afraid to leave her mother alone. So she said, "Thank you, because I don't feel like I'm alone in dealing with this."
Right. Now, why do you think it was, or did the pastor, like, I don't want to put him on Front Street or nothing, we ain't got to say the name or nothing like that. But what reason did he give you that he didn't want to speak about it? Being that it's a crisis. I mean, mental illness is a crisis in our community.
He never gave a reason, but I assumed it was because it's considered a sin. However, I tell everybody no sin is different than the next. All sins are equal. So I don't care if you're drinking, you're smoking, you're fornicating, you're adulterating,
Homosexual.
yes, gay or whatever, it's all the same. So I don't know. I will never get to know because he's passed on, but I'm just thankful that he did give me that platform to speak. And it helps others, and I speak openly about it.
Well, I wish that more pastors, I don't know how often pastors do speak on that or have somebody speak on that, but I would hope that I wish that more would, because we don't it's like you're right. One sin is no greater than the next, because the Bible I've been raised to read, it never said, okay, this is number one. This is worse than this one. You get more fiery furnace if you do this one. You know what I mean? So it's like a sin is a sin is a sin. And there are certain topics they speak on in church all the time. And then there's
Mm-hmm.
certain topics that they don't ever cover.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what I hate about our sweep it under the rug mentality. Like certain things that should be discussed. I think in church should not, but that we'll say that for another day as well.
That part.
I wanted to touch on your letters that you wrote to your family. You wrote a letter to your mom.
Mm-hmm.
You wrote a letter to your daughter. You wrote a letter to your son, and you wrote a letter to your mom. Now, when I was looking at the letters that you wrote, now I already told you before when I read this book, y'all. When y'all read this book, y'all better have a Kleenex ready because I was like, my eyes was bloodshot red. But in the letters, they were like really really heartfelt. But the one that you wrote to your mom, it was like the shortest one. It was like almost one sentence, while the rest of them were like little paragraphs to your husband, your daughter, and your son. Why was your mom's letter so short? Was it because you think she already knows how you really feel about her, or was it you didn't know what to say, or was it?
During that time, my mom did not. She did not. She had moved away.
Mm-hmm.
She had moved away with no explanation whatsoever. She had moved out of state
Mm-hmm.
with my sister, and that was hard for me because she never like gave us a reason why. And a part of me felt like I was a reason of why she had left.
Mm-hmm.
And growing up, we didn't really say "I love you." We
Neither did we. Neither did
we
we.
say it more now than anything, but growing up, we did not say "I loved you." It was more of we showed you by providing for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I just wanted her to know, like, I forgave her for anything. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
I loved her, and there were times that I wish I could have just told my mom I
Mm-hmm.
loved her,
Mm-hmm.
and so hers was just short because it was just I wanted a point to be made, like
Right.
I do love you, even
Mm-hmm.
though I don't show it or I rebelled a lot because I was very rebellious from the 13 on up for a lot of years when I shouldn't have been, but again, that'll be
And the
comes
next
later.
And you
But
know what? We're our we not might not be mirrors of each other, but we all do the same thing growing up. We
yes,
all rebel. I was girl, when I tell you, my friends will tell you, my mother kicked me out every Friday
hey, I would have
when I
been
was a
happy.
teenager.
I would
When
have
I
been
was a
happy
teenager.
though.
And I don't know if you know my friend back then, Tamika Perkins. You ever heard of her, Tamika Perkins? Her grandma used to let me move in with them every weekend. I had clothes over there, and like after a few days, my pastor would be like, "Okay, tell the girl to come home, Sister Mary. She been gone." I was that kid, you know. So yeah, we put our parents through some blues sometimes, and then sometimes we feel like our parents are partially responsible or to blame for some of the things that we have went through. So when you had went through your first suicidal attempt, you said you was 13 and you had took pine sol, you said it was,
Yeah,
and
it
milk.
was pine
Did you
salt, and I followed up with milk.
with milk? Okay, and I'm sure that's some like to soothe it or something. Well, we don't
Just
want to
to
get
like
into
clean it out my
yeah, yeah,
system.
yeah. Yep, yep. But at that time, did you or your parents think that you had some type of? I know you said you kind of did it out of rebellion to get attention, and some kids do that. But did they think there's still probably a need for some counseling or some therapy at that age?
No, the thing is, I grew up in a household where my mom was a foster parent.
Okay.
So, but my mom never got a foster kid that was older than me because I was her oldest child. However, she did marry somebody who had an older daughter than me. And they was at the stages where they were getting to know each other. So she was kind of showing a little bit more attention. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, I was mentally dealing with what had happened to me. But my
Mm-hmm.
mom was not yet aware. I was told my mom was aware what happened, but I learned 10 years later that she was never aware.
Okay.
So my seeking attention then turned to resentment, then
Mm-hmm.
that turned into being rebellious, which turned into, you know what, I'm just going to shut down and just deal with you accordingly. And I did that for 10 years, but I can never get those 10 years back. So that's why my note to her was the shortest and the simplest, because it was an apology for being upset with her for something I thought she knew.
I can understand that. I can understand that. And I've heard that scenario many times. Kids go through things and they just, I don't know, because we as kids, I think we always think that our parents should know everything. Like we look at them like super, especially if for people who look up their dad like superheroes, and mom and dad can fix everything. They know everything. They should be able to. I'm gonna tell you, my two sons, only got two, and I have like grilled them all throughout their life. Anybody would do something to you, anybody would touch you, anybody, coach, teacher, mailman, uncle, all the time, to where they got sick and tired. Mom, no, no, we would tell you, even when they got grown. Is there anything y'all ever never told me about? Because I'm telling y'all got only this much more time before y'all can't say that. Don't ever say, Mom, we try to tell you, Mom, you should have known. It's hard as kids to say it, but once you get older and older and older, like, come on now, y'all already know. Just let me know so we can go.
Well, the
Mess
thing
somebody
is,
up. No, we gonna call the law.
no, I mean, and that's true, because the thing is that I ask my son and daughter all the time, and my son used to, Mom, I'm a boy. I don't care. Boys could get molested too. My daughter right now, she's a fully developed 14-year-old girl, and it's very many people house that she can go over. And
Super close.
she did not understand that, but she's at the age now where she can read my book now, and that I'm very open with her, because she's at that age that I was. She's a little older, but I'm very, very.
Yeah, you got to start early with that. I don't remember what age I started. Probably 7, 8, or 9 or
Yeah.
10. And I started. I don't have girls, but I know throughout history, a lot of boys are sickly wanted as much as girls. So yeah, those of you who out there got boys, treat them just like you would a girl, and grill them and make sure they know what's good, what's bad, come to you and talk to you and all that. Because a lot of times, again, we think that our parents know, and things happen to me. Almost every person I know, like every female I know, friend, cousin, sister, have had somebody do something to them. And that's why I hate that sweep it under the rug mentality, because 9 times out of 10 in those situations, nothing is ever done to the perpetrator or to the attacker or to the, you know what I mean? And we grow up with that. And a lot of times we even see those people in our family, in our surroundings as we grow up. And they walking around like they ain't did shit. And I'm like,
the hardest thing I've ever, and again, this will come later, was to forgive mine. I had to. One is passed on, one is still alive, but they have girls. So I just pray for his girls. You have to.
You just have to. Yeah. To some point, you have to give it up to God. You have to give it up to God. And that is hard. And a lot of people do suffer in silence from that. So I know you did mention when you did this second suicide attempt, when you said you were at work, you got up that day, you went to work, you said you left from work. Did you just walk off your job?
I did. I got up that morning and I had, kissed my kids, everything, because I knew it was going, in my head, it was going to be my last everything. Went to work, stopped at Sonic's. I was like good with my ice. Got into work, logged on. My family, we chat every day. We send motivational emails every day. We're texting. If it's not texting, it's emailing. And I literally did the notes at work and I left. The crazy thing is I called my significant other while I was leaving work and he did not answer.
Yeah, I remember you said you called him, you called your mom,
Yes,
you called like a few people.
nobody answered that, and I'm like, okay, maybe this is supposed to seriously happen. Nobody's answering my calls, and I came all the way back home and left their letters,
Yeah.
left my jewelry, everything, and I sent the text as I was walking out my front door, took the meds, and just drove and
Mm,
drove. Took the battery out my phone, drove and drove until I started getting sleepy.
mhm. And then that's when you went. You were at the hotel, and you were out there by Sap Brothers, by Werner, by
Mm-hmm.
Sap Brothers. I used to work out there, so I know that area. And you checked in a hotel, and it was it had to been just it was a miracle. It was a miracle because what you did, the pills and the liquor, that concoction right there, if you take a whole bunch of pills and wash it down with liquor, a lot of times people don't get found in time. So you were found in time and you had made a phone call to some people, like, and you text to some people and they got the message. They just didn't know how to find you. They just didn't know how to find you. They didn't know where you was. How were they able to locate you at that location?
My mom had changed her phone number.
Okay.
And the only number I had was her old number. My family calls me the Rain Man. In that moment, the only number I remembered by heart, because my phone was tore apart, was my mom's old phone number, which happened to still be on. And my
Yeah.
mom said she was sitting there, she had cried herself to sleep, and she says a little voice told her, check your phone,
Hmm.
check your old phone. And she said, I checked my phone and she heard the voicemail of me crying, apologizing to her, asking her for forgiveness. And they were able to call the police back here and
Oh.
they were able to trace the number. And that's how I was able to be found. And they said they found me in the nick of
In the
time.
nick of time, I
Yeah.
saw what the medical people said, and that's why I'm like, that was God. I mean, the first time you attempted it, you might have been 13, you might have been just being a rebellious kid, and it didn't happen though. It didn't happen. And even though you grew up and dealt with things in your own way, you didn't get any counseling, any therapy. You attempted it again. Nobody knew where you were. Nobody was answering no phone calls. Like you was, it was like you were looking for somebody to change your mind or to talk you out of it or just to hear something that's telling you, don't do it. Don't do it. But nobody answered. And then for your mom to check her phone that she no longer used, that's a miracle. That's a miracle. And of course, thank God for modern technology as well. But
Mhm.
yeah, it wasn't your time. It wasn't your time. Not yet. Not yet. So my next question is when you got to the facility where they took you, you were kind of like, ain't nothing wrong with me. Take
Yes.
me home. Send me home. Call
I
my
was
husband. Call my mama. Ain't nothing wrong with me. Like, what was going through your mind at that time? Because I know the people there was like, ma'am, I saw it in the book. Ma'am,
I
you
was
are
terrified because there was real I'm sitting there in my head, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. And I don't know if anybody's ever been to the psych ward, but them people are crazy.
yeah,
And
you were
not
explaining how they were
crazy,
screaming and people were crying and throwing stuff. And I'm like,
not crazy. They're dealing with mental issues, but
right,
in
yeah.
my mind frame, I'm like, okay, so you get the free calls, they let you talk. So I I was able to reach out to my sister and she's in the army, and on the day I attempted, she was actually training her soldiers on suicide prevention.
Mhm.
Um
And that was a
so
coincidence because when I read that, I was like, wow, that's crazy.
yes, so her and my mom dropped everything and flew to Omaha.
Mhm.
She was stationed in Atlanta at the time, so they came here, but I didn't even know they were even coming here at the time. She didn't tell me over the phone. They had a meeting with my husband, and I'm like telling the lady, I do not belong here. Like, I don't. I have a dope support system. And they're talking like, well, why didn't you go to them? And I'm just
And that's
sitting
what
there.
somebody had asked in the chat. somebody had asked in the chat, I think that was Miss Hall. She said, so your therapist friends didn't notice anything, you know,
That
the
Facebook, you know how you get up and you put those masks on where
Mhm.
you know when you around people to smile. My friend Ashlyn, she always be trying to like therapist me, and I'll be like, girl, listen, just be my friend. So
Right.
I know when she come around, I'm just gonna smile. I'm gonna use words that's not gonna make her think something wrong because I want her to be my friend. I don't want her to be that therapist
Mhm.
that she is. I want her to be my friend in the moment. So
Mhm.
I always knew how to talk around her. I had already like I had to stay 2 steps ahead of her because I
Mhm.
didn't want her to think. But now she'll just sit back and she just evaluates me like,
She
what's
just be
really
looking at you like, you got something to
like,
say?
yeah, like what's really going on? Okay, I ain't talked to you in 3 days. Are you okay over there? Do I need to pop
Mhm.
up? You know,
Mhm.
she knows me. She pays a little bit more attention now.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
And that's a good thing. We when we do have people in our lives, um there was somebody here, and I'm not gonna say their name, but they're very well known. And I just, it hurts to even think about it. The guy who uh he attempted and he was successful at doing it. I hate to use the word successful, but you know what I mean. He was able to do it. And one thing I remember from the funeral service, because it was live, was that one of his relatives was like, they had heard afterwards, they had heard that that person, their relative, had reached out to a lot of people, and a
mhm.
lot of people he spoke to, and she don't know how much support they were providing, but no one let the immediate family know.
I know who exactly you're
You know
talking
who I'm
about.
talking about?
And the
And
thing,
I was thought that was really strange. Like, if you know your best friend, your homeboy is, or homegirl is depressed and suicidal and things like that, wouldn't you want to reach out to the family, the mom, the dad, the, you know?
the
So your friend or your therapist friend, she's right to, are you okay? You know, not try to badger you all the time, but just be worried or be concerned sometimes, because not to feel like we're selfish. You know, you don't want to feel like you're selfish or a burden on people. But when you have mental illness, it takes people reaching out to you sometime for you to open up. You got to feel safe.
it the way our society and the way our city of Omaha is set up is people are afraid to go and talk to people. They
Mhm.
are afraid that if they open up, they're gonna be people gonna be in somebody group chat or they'll make a meme of them, and it's sad. The thing is that what I've learned is when I went public, a lot of my friends, you know, people gossip. They are, oh, her husband must have cheated, or, you know, or this or that. But my real family, they knew, like, okay, we missed all the signs. Like, people
Mhm.
automatically assume, but especially black men, it's hard in our black men. Our
Mhm.
black men
'Cause they're
suffer with,
supposed to be like so
because I'm
strong.
a peer support specialist. I didn't go to school to be a therapist. You know, I thought about it after all of this, but I didn't want to be a therapist because they're limited on what they can share with you. Whereas a
Mhm.
peer support specialist, I could be raw, uncut, share my story with you.
Mhm.
So there was a black man in our city that did reach out, and he, you know, we talked, but he wanted to just get advice before opening up to the girl he wanted to propose to.
Mhm.
And when she told him about some stuff that he was dealing with and his attempts and thoughts, she laughed at him and told him to tough it up and be a man. And it's like, it's sometimes us as women can make a man feel low too. And
Mhm.
the way we're raised, you know, could play a major role.
Yeah, because we expect the man. We just expect, like, I don't know how. I was raised. I did not have a perfect home. Like I said, I got kicked out every weekend down there when I was a teenager. When I'm walking down the street with a garbage bag full of clothes. Okay, but I still, like, the men around me. when the older men, they worked hard, 2, 3 jobs. They brought the check home to the woman, to the wife, girlfriend, whatever. And we grow up and we expect our men to be strong and do what our father did or our uncles did or our grandpa. And when they show some type of weakness, it's like, and it is really sad that there are women who do that. They tease the man, or they put them down, or you want to wear the pants in the house, act like but that can really backfire. That can really backfire. And a man, we done seen it all the time. A man take him out and everybody in the house,
And
because
it does. And I always tell people it's okay to cry. I tell my son, it's okay to cry. You're human. You're going to have emotions. You're supposed to have emotions. I'm going to think something wrong with you if you don't show emotion. I tell my significant other that, but he tries, I'm from the streets. Okay, I understand that, but you deal with stuff just like I do.
right.
It's okay to cry. It's okay to release. It's okay to get help. And I feel so sad, that happened to that young man. I wish I could have just had just a simple conversation with him, because that could change somebody's day. I have a 2-minute rule that I live by. I could see you and I don't even know you, but I'll be like, hey, how's your day going? And that right there can change somebody's day around in a quickness. Somebody could be having a suicidal thought, just got, smacked by their significant other, kids just pissed them off, but just that simple, hey, how's your day going? Change their
Show a
whole.
little kindness, a little thought, a little concern can make a difference.
Yes.
One thing I like about counselors and therapists is, like you say, a lot of us in our community, we judge. We really judgmental. Like, even when we try to not be, we still be judgmental. And it is easy to pick up a phone. Oh my God, girl, guess what I just heard? Oh my God, she told me and the one thing about the therapists and the counselors, they have basically oaths to listen to what you got to say and help and support you, not to judge you and not to tell everybody in the world your business, or gossip on the telephone. So that's one thing that we got to keep in mind. If we don't have nobody that we absolutely think we can trust with our innermost, darkest, craziest, secrets or thoughts, then sometimes we have to reach out to people that we don't know. Suffice to what we were taught, growing up, everything's supposed to stay in the house. That happens in the house. I kicked that mentality out when I first had my oldest son. Like, no, we ain't going by that. I owe a lot of homage to my ancestors and my great grandparents and so forth, but that's one thing I don't believe in. There are certain things that should be kept in the house. Certain things that should be, but there's some things where I tell my children, if I'm not there, something happened, you go to the nearest person that you trust with what's going on with you. Like, we have to teach our children that, don't be like, oh, the only person you can talk to is me, because sometimes me is busy, me is at work, me is depressed and stressed out myself. So we got to make sure that the children know that they can reach out to other people if you're not there, if you're not available, instead of holding everything inside. But
I think growing up, what I witnessed was, I was my mom's first child, as I stated, and I witnessed every obstacle and stuff with her. So my siblings did not see the cries, the tears, the struggles. They got to enjoy the happy times and everything, the success and stuff. So with my kids, I wanted them to experience A to Z. But with the being labeled as a Black person, you hide the mental illness because we're labeled by the way we wear our hair, the way our lips are shaped, the way our noses are shaped. We labeled by everything. So we don't want that mental illness in our file. We don't want that added. However, I say that, but on another note, we use it when it's beneficial for us.
Yeah.
Because if Pookie and Ray Ray go out there and get in trouble with the law, that's when we want to acknowledge the mental illness. That's what I do not like. If your child has mental illness, let them know it's okay to walk in it. There is nothing wrong with being having them into okay, it's a lot of people walking around bipolar,
Mm-hmm.
depressed. It's
Yeah,
okay. That it does not define you as a person at all. So,
true.
but also in our community, if somebody like myself say it, people be like, oh, whatever. But let K Michelle or Little Boosie or anybody say it. Oh,
I'm
they
gonna pray for you. Oh,
yeah,
you're in my thoughts and
right.
prayers.
You
Oh, you're so bold. You're so bold and brave.
and it's just like, you know what? I see where your headspace is, but then those same people that down to oh, she's making another post about suicide, suicide or mental illness. But then I had to sit back and be like, them same people that's sitting back suffering in silence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And a
So,
lot of times that's true. Mm-hmm.
but and you're right. Somebody said Black women do go through a lot. We do as Black women, we go through a lot because people are so think that the men are the foundation of the family, and truly, the women are the foundation of the family because the men they set it, they get the mold all together, but
Mm-hmm.
us women is the one that's setting the foundation. We're making sure everything at home, everybody's so worried about the Southern days and the South and
Right.
how the woman stays at home. No, this is equal. We 50-50 over
I
here.
know we working too.
Yeah, we 50-50
Mm-hmm.
over here. So,
Shoot, Mama bringing home some bread and bacon too.
and
Shoot.
sometimes the woman bring home more than the man, and that plays a lot on the man's mental as well because they were
Yes.
taught they have to be the head and stuff. And it's okay, man, if your woman makes more than you,
And
y'all
that's
are.
why some women lie about their income too.
Yes, I've been
They make
noticing
their
that.
men feel like they
But
doing
you
the
have to
most,
stop
you
that
know.
because if they find that paycheck stub,
They
then
gonna
you
be
back
like,
at right. So yes, so it's okay if your man make more than you.
yes, absolutely,
If you
absolutely.
make more than your man.
Yep, yep. And Miss Hall, you are absolutely right. Black women go through a lot, and a lot of times we do go through that in silence because the same with black men who feel like they got to be strong. We black women feel that way too. Like we feel like we have to be strong all the time, and that if we break, the whole house gonna break.
That
So
part.
yeah, we have to. That's why we have to be there for each other and make sure we know that we absolutely got each other. Like I know after this happened, from reading what your husband said to you, I could tell at first that he was kind of like, I can't believe you did this. Your kids, me, our house, like you guys had just bought a new house, and I don't know if he probably thought like if he thought everything was just fine or perfect, but even if it wasn't still perfect, I know he was probably thinking just from what you read, that at first he was kind of upset, but then of course he was glad, happy, ecstatic that it didn't, that you survived and somebody found you. But when we have these relationships and we have these partners, we got to make sure we be open and let them know how we really feel and what we really going through, because a lot of times they probably can be that one support system that can really make or break you, the person
Well,
closest to you.
we're working on, even to this day, is communication because we have different thought processes. Because like I say, he has the street mentality where I don't have the street mentality, so we view things totally differently. So we try to navigate through that, where I tell him sometimes you're heartless, you don't see things from my perspective,
Mhm.
or you see things from your perspective, but you're not comprehending or understanding how it's coming from my eyes or my view. So we're
Mhm.
working on that still.
Yep, and that's good. Keep the communication open. That is a one of the most important things when you're dealing with relationships, especially marriages. Because I love to see me some black love, child.
And
I
I
love
tell
it.
people all the time, and people always be like, especially when this happened, he took a lot of backlash, like a lot, probably the most,
Mhm.
of being accused of cheating. And like I tell everybody, I won't say what my kids or husband do when they leave out my front door,
Mhm.
because I'm not going to ever be that wife or mom that say not my kid, not my husband, because I am not with them in their back pocket when they leave
And
my
none
front
of us is perfect.
door. Right.
None
What
of
I
us.
will say is that until something comes to my front door,
Mhm.
I have no choice but to believe them,
Mhm.
But I can
And
say
I
that,
think those negative thoughts just,
right,
even if we think like, and that's a whole nother, book
right.
too. But as far as a lot of people believe in that every man cheats, if you don't see it, if you don't smell it, if you don't sense it, if you have no reason to question, then don't even focus, don't even think about that, because what I mean, good thoughts, happy
Handling my
thoughts.
energy. I'm all about
Right.
energy. So,
Yeah, messing up your energy. And there's like two things I just want to mention in your book. And this definition that you put in here for a survivor. It says a person who survives, especially a person remaining alive after an event in which others have died, the remainder of a group or of people or things, a person who copes well with difficulties in their life, a survivor. Now, it said in here, I wanted to ask you about this in this same chapter. It says, when you were going through your therapy, it said you were no longer able to afford therapy for yourself, and you leaned on the only reliable therapist you knew, and that was God.
mm-hmm.
And every morning you thanked him, you woke up, you spoke to him, even though it was a struggle. It was like, you know, um, the therapy was out the door, but God, for people who really believe in religion, who was raised in church, we're taught that take everything to God. He'll make it all right. He'll answer your prayers, open all doors, all the stuff they say about that in church. But again, if there is no one that you can speak to, if God is the only one that you can speak to, then hey, he can be good enough. But then again, people still go through stuff. You don't want to make it seem like, oh God, if God can't fix it, no one will. So just like with doctors, you can't think if God can't fix it, I don't need to go to the doctor. You know what I mean? So just because you believe in God, you were raised to believe in God, does not mean that you shouldn't or be scared to go to somebody else and open up to somebody else. And as far as you not being able to afford the therapy for yourself, I haven't went to therapy before, even though I'll be like, I think one day I might try therapy. It ain't like I'm sitting over here, you know, stressed all the time or something. But I think, I mean, I hear this from people. Some people's like they think everybody needs a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Like we sometimes don't know
Excuse me.
that we have something wrong with us until we sit down and talk to somebody. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But with jobs, like I think like how many sessions you get with jobs? Like you get like
Four
a
to five.
four
Four
to
to five.
five.
Mm-hmm.
4 to 5. So is that how it was with your job? You had like 4 to 5 sessions, and then after that, was there like? Did you ever think about like maybe going to your friends who were therapists or seeking something in the community, like maybe some free services, or are there any in our community like that you would like to put out there for people who might, be in the same position where they can no longer afford therapy?
Well, I started going to CHI through them, 402-717 HOPE. And I was seeing a therapist out there with this lady, but she was not me. She
Right.
was not my color. So it was kind of hard because she was just like, I knew the questions I already knew what she was going to ask me. Like I done memorized those, when you go into therapy, first couple of times when I went in her, I just bawled. She just listened. I bawled. And I was like, I never thought I would be here again. But then it was refreshing. But then she will be like, I don't want somebody that got to go to chapter 34, and year 2 of the course to tell me what I should be, what they should tell me. I want somebody that's going to be raw, uncut with me and tell me things. Now I do know Rose Payne. She's a good friend on Facebook. She's a therapist. Ashlyn Samuel, she's a good friend. Ted Lampkin, he's a good Black male therapist, and these are all Black. There's quite a few others. I'll have to get a list.
Yeah, get a list and then get that to me.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that there are therapists that do look like them right here in the North Omaha community. I just know of them because Ted Lampkin helped my son, and I know the two ladies. LaJoy Green, she's one as well. She's in the school system, I believe. But those are just who I know personally. But as far as going to them, I didn't want to go to my friends to talk to them because when I talk to them, they know a lot about me anyway, especially Ashlyn, because that's my sister friend. You know, I could tell her things and she tell me things, but I won't look at her the same because I'm like, okay, you learn a little too much now, sis. Like, you know, you got
I
your
get it. I
sister friend,
understand.
but you don't tell your sister friend everything to where my therapist, she knew my darkest, like, everything. And she was just like, well, yeah. And so what made me stop really going to the therapist, because I asked her a question and she just looked at me and I said, see, you can't even give me a straight answer, so you can't even help me. And but I leaned on God, because in that moment I left God. God never left me. I left God. I was so angry and everything that I left God. I stopped believing in God for a moment. Like, I was mad at God, but in the end, God is the one who saved me. He picked me up. He gave me a second chance. He kept me here for a reason. So therefore, people always ask, why you always smiling? Why you always happy? Because I had a second chance. I have a purpose. I don't know what my purpose is. I question God all the time. Like, okay, God, what is my purpose here? Because a sister is struggling. Like you say on Facebook, I may seem like it's easy, but I backwards plan everything. My family, we backwards plan everything.
Now, please explain that. Now, you said your family say that a lot.
You want to go, you want something to accomplish something. So, like a trip, you want this trip. Now let's backwards plan how we gonna get to you getting to this trip. And my sister, she's a big person on this backwards planning. So I know I want to take this trip come July. So now here it is, March. Or no, what is it, May? So I need to make the steps of, okay, I need to save here. I need to save this. I need to move this around. But I'm going on this trip. I only got 2 hours of vacation left, but I'm going on this trip. So
I get it.
If you want something, you're gonna accomplish it, basically.
Child,
we make time for what we want to make time for. And I'm learning that life is too short. And I'm making the best of it. I have a second chance to make things right with what was once wrong, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I like what you did. It's the last thing I wanted to talk about. And then we're going to open the floor for people who have questions or might want to ask you something. On day 99, this was after you were rescued, after they found you at the hotel and you went to the facility. And then eventually the doctor there, after talking to you for a while, he was like, you'll be fine at home. I think we're going to send you home. So after that, on day 99, you decided to post on Facebook what you had been through. You told your friends, your Facebook friends, your family, everything you went through. And then what I like that you did, you reached out to certain people and you asked them, what was the first thing you thought when you heard what I did? And some of the answers, wow, I was just like, wow. Like a lot of the answers, not a lot of them, but some of the answers were, I was angry, I was mad. Like somebody even said, was she seeking attention? Or, things like that. But most of them, for the most part, was, I'm glad that they found you. I'm glad that it didn't go through. I'm glad that, things like that. So one thing I liked about the people in your circle, even if you didn't feel like you could tell them in advance what was going on, they were being honest. And no matter how bad it felt, like even your mom, when your mom was like saying what she had said. Matter of fact, let me go to what she said.
Everybody knew. I didn't put no names in there, but everybody knew what her statement was. So
it's like, I knew the one that you said last one because we knew that was your mom, but I'm not gonna read. Yeah, you didn't put the names in there. You just said message 1, message 2, whatever. But the one that was last, I think it was.
Let's see.
Okay, here it is. I'm just gonna read a little bit. What really got me was like, she said, oh wow. She said, I thought that was some dumb shit white people do. We as black folks don't miss suicide. Then I went through the thought process of disbelief that my child is dealing with some mental issues. Then it is trying to understand what it's going through, what she's going through, and if there's something I could have done wrong to prevent it. Then I'm gonna skip through some sentences, and the last one says, could have been a better listener, a more affectionate mother. Could there been something that I've done different to improve our relationship? And I didn't read all of it, but just those few lines. Like, do you think that anybody in growing up or rearing could have done anything different, to like help, the path that you were, that ended up on? I know we like to say everything happened for a reason, things like that. But do you think there's anything that could have, and not just from your mom, not just putting all the light on her, but anybody?
If anybody that could have did anything different, it could have been me.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that, have you ever been to a repast before? And at a repast, it's so much going on at the repast. You got the kids over here playing, you got the deacons and the people in the church over there, you got the family, you just got so many groups gathered at a repast.
Right.
Well, I felt like I was at my own repast in my living room because my family, friends, cousins I ain't seen or talked to in a while, people just gathered over there, came over, and I'm just sitting in the corner. And at that moment, my kids are finally brought to me. So my kids finally seeing me for the first time. So the only thing in that moment at my own repast, it felt like my kids was the only thing that mattered. But at the same time, I'm observing, you got these people still here, but they're still over there whispering, girl, what happened? You hearing it still. And it's like, really? That's all you came over here for, was to be nosy? And
yeah, I read that in your book too, how you
are
said you
you
thought,
really
or,
like,
yeah.
and you knew who was truly genuinely there. My friend Latrice, she was there, like, listen, she was there. And we shared a lot of tears because you never know who's dealing with something similar. Not saying she was, but she just was there for me. And it was a lot. Even like Precious, y'all know Precious.
Oh yeah.
She was there, she reached out, she was very helpful in a lot of ways. And my cousin Jasmine, my sister Millie, my family, my whole family. And it was just being at your own repast. And that in that moment made me know that I should have reached out, regardless of what they going to. So I'm learning to be sensitive and insensitive situations, and learning to be selfish in situations. So if I'm feeling a certain type of way and somebody calling me, I'd be like, girl, listen, I ain't got time to deal with you right now because I'm dealing with my own stuff.
You gotta be honest. You gotta be honest.
It's not to be rude, but because my sister always make a statement like, it ain't about you. And I'm like, but in a way it is, because mentally I'm dealing with it, and you do people. Some people expect me to always be strong, and I'm not. I have days. I still have days. I don't have thoughts. And the doctors, I laugh when I go to the hospital or whatever, and they ask that, and I'll be like, no. And then, I laugh sometimes, and I'll just be like, no, I'm actually a speaker on it. Like, and they'll be like, oh, for real? It's hard to get life insurance. I would have truly
Oh
thought.
wow, I never even thought about that. So what's that like? Because that's something I didn't even know. Like, once you commit or try to commit, then you can't. Is that you can't get it, or is it like
you have to get some type of life insurance where you have to have like a clause, like you got to go 2 years with the life insurance or 5 years.
Oh.
So it is very hard to get life insurance. So basically, to this day, it is still hard for me to get life insurance. Just even though it's been almost 8 years. So what we have to do is literally go to a funeral home, pre-plan my funeral out because I cannot physically go to a life insurance company and get life insurance. So my whole family has it but me. So we have to plan, like backwards plan my funeral with the funeral home so that way I can stay insured.
Okay, okay. But
So yeah.
other than that, is you said is if you get it, there's like a clause where
Yes.
they wouldn't pay out anything for at least 2 years. So
Yes.
you can't have it. You
Yep.
just
Can't
if
do
something
nothing.
happens in that
Yes.
first 2 years, you got to be prepared otherwise
Yep.
financially. Okay,
Yes.
that's a lot to think about. I
It is.
mean,
It is. I share because I'm very open on Facebook. I share the good, the bad, the in between.
mhm,
My 14-year-old daughter, she had attempted, and I had got her permission before I went onto Facebook and shared her story because she was at school
mhm,
and I left work, like in the middle of work again, to go to her school and like, okay, what's going on? And she's at that age where she's in high school, so they're trying to self-identify, peer
yes.
pressure,
Mhm,
trying to fit in, and they're finding themselves at that age. So
mhm.
I speak openly with her, and that's when me and my husband had to come to the realization, like, it's time to share your story with her so it can help her and let her know she could talk to you about anything.
So
Because
she had no idea, like when they found you and they brought you home. I know you had mentioned in there that the kids didn't really know; they just knew you were missing. So it was when your daughter attempted, and that's when you felt like, okay,
well, my daughter was at Girls Inc. when it happened, and my aunt Pat picked her up. They just knew mommy was in the hospital. They did not know why. But when I decided to go public on Facebook, my son's therapist, told me that you need to tell your son
yeah,
because once you go public on Facebook, kids' parents tend to talk in front of their kids.
mhm,
So kids can go to school and they can tease him. So we
mhm.
had to sit him down and talk to him. But my daughter is just now learning of this past year.
Oh, okay. Well, I pray that your daughter, she gets all the help that she can get too, because um it's so hard, it's so hard, and kids, they do go through a lot. And I think, like, okay, I know you said you're not from the streets, but your husband is. I'm from the streets. So when my kids were younger, I didn't tell them everything we did, but I did tell them some things that went on in the street, because I felt like, hey, we live in the hood. Every house we move to, we in the hood, in the hood. My sons be like, dang, mama, why every time we move, we always in the hood? But I'm like, I feel like there are certain things that will help them, make their course through the hood without ending up in certain situations, if they knew a little bit about what were going on, what we used to do, or what happened, who went to jail, who did this. So with
Listen, we grew up in the smack of the hood. We grew up off of 40th and Maple, 5 houses down from the Maple Street corner
oh,
store.
maybe I was about to say the
We
cornerstone.
we just was not from the streets.
Right,
So
I know what
we
you're saying. You can
yes.
be in the hood, but not in the, I know what you're saying, because a lot of people grew up in the hood and they were always in the house, or they was like, we even went to church all the time. We went to church all the time. I mean, revivals all summer long. It was a lot. But then when we got to a certain age, it was like, church. With that, we were like, hey, we out in the streets with everybody else. I'm trying to be out there with everybody else. But it's a difference between growing up in the hood and actually being out in the streets. And with your daughter, I kind of equate that to what she was going through. Like, sometimes the things that we going through, even though we don't really want to tell our kids about it, we have to. Even just like, um sometimes if somebody assault you or do something when you're younger, sometimes you don't want to talk about it with your kids, especially if it happens to be somebody close around.
Mhm.
But sometimes you have to. So sometimes our kids gotta hear our experiences and learn about our experiences to be able to feel better about their own.
Well,
Like, okay,
listen,
there's somebody out here who went through what I went through. that I can talk to, that I can trust, with my feelings.
Listen, when it comes to telling my daughter about me being molested, I'm very open with that because I had to be for her to understand and comprehend why she cannot go to certain people's houses or why she cannot wear certain things, So I am very, very open. And I tell her, I don't care who it is. It could be a cousin, an uncle, brother, friend, anybody. I don't care. I'm very skeptical of who she's around.
I know that's right. I'm telling you, I got 2 boys, but I was the same way. Shoot, when they be like, our coach wants to come over for a barbecue. You tell that coach if he even look, my sons be like, Mama, dang, come on now. No. Y'all know I'm not playing, right? I'm not playing. If somebody look like they want to look like they want to look like they want to do something.
Right.
I was like that mom, like really overprotective because I know what I and other kids went through growing up with, perps and stuff. But yeah, I want to read this. Camilla McKinney.
That's
She
my
put a Bible
sister.
verse. That's your sis. Hi, sister.
Yes, that is my sister.
I want to read what she put out there. She put out Isaiah 55, 55 9. And this is the Bible Gateway version. But it says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." And I think when she was speaking of that, I think we were talking about how you couldn't go to therapy anymore, and you was looking out to the Lord, looking out to God, and speaking to God about what you were going through. Um, that is one of my favorite verses in the Bible. When you grow up in church, you know a lot about the Bible and everything. And sometimes the Bible is a good way to feel at peace, to get some type of guidance, to feel closer to God. So again, I say to some people, it's okay to reach out to God if you need somebody to talk to, somebody to help you. If you feel like you can't go to nobody else, but I have to stress when you grow up in church, we're taught sometimes that that's the only way, and there's no other way. And then a lot of people they might not get what they need that way.
Mm-hmm.
And they just give up. Like, okay, if God can't do it, can't nobody. If God can't fix it, can't nobody. Still try to reach out to local organizations, to hospitals, to therapists, counselors. There's groups everywhere. Like, I'm gonna put links in the description box of this video. We always put, when we speak on this subject, we always put like the phone number, the hotline for suicide attempts, all that. So I'm gonna put all that in there. And could you please, when you get a chance, send me the list of the Black therapists and counselors that you know in our community, so I can also attach them to this video as well. And I just want to give everybody a chance if they want to ask you something these last few minutes, or got a question for you, or if anybody has any questions, we got a few minutes left. And she says she's open to questions. So if y'all got any questions, feel free. I'm gonna read some of the comments that I kind of missed over. Camilla, she said God will always place you with the right people. He is the source. Amen.
Yes,
I believe that. I absolutely believe that. Um, Miss Hall says she's going to be keeping you and your family in her prayers. Miss Hall, she's a beautiful woman. She's been supporting me for years. My YouTube channel. So yes, I love her. She also said mental health can be a roller coaster ride.
It is because people think because they allow their illness to define them, and it does not define me. My illness does not. I am a survivor. I walk with my head held high. I walk like I have a purpose to be in the room. I've learned that I motivate people when I'm not trying to motivate people. If I don't post for a couple of days, people is inboxing me like, "Are you okay?" Like, I'm looking forward to your inspirations. And a lot of those inspirations come from my sister's friend. And we every day we're just motivating each other. It's just around the clock, So
that is awesome.
You have to uplift yourself. I tell everybody all the time, I'm thankful for my family. You know, we're dysfunctional just like everybody else, but I am so thankful for them because we gonna support and celebrate everything. You know,
Yes.
I don't believe in celebrating my anniversary date of this. I don't. I just it's just another date. But when it comes up on Facebook, I do share it because it's saving somebody like me. When I first came out with my book, I sent it to Ellen, Tyler Perry, all of them, and nobody ever responded back to me. And at first I was mad. Then I was like, you know what? You don't need them to have a platform. You have Facebook. So I never even did it to make a profit. I didn't even cash none of the checks. Like the publishing company was like, Christina, your check's done expired, so they set up direct deposit. Because I truly did it to just save somebody like me. Because every day, every second, somebody is taking their lives. And I didn't realize until now, as I went through my own healing process, that a lot of my family was dealing with depression, because people, we tend to gamble, we drink a little more, we party more because we're hiding our depression. We're trying to cover it up, but once all that fun, the music stopped, the machine stopped, the sexing stopped, it's still there. So I'm a big, big advocate on journaling. My best friend bought me this journal because I love elephants. They're a foundation, strength. But I journal every day, 30 minutes negative and 20 minutes positive. That's
a great idea. That's a great idea.
And it's different because the 30 minutes, it's always easy for us to vent, down talk ourselves, or down talk the next, but it's so hard to compliment ourselves or uplift or motivate ourselves. So that's why it's not balanced with the 30-20. But I challenge everybody, do it for 30 days straight. You do it for 30 days straight, it's going to become a part of your routine. It lifts a burden off.
We have to do that. I mean, you know what? I used to journal when I was younger. Every little girl, when we was growing up, had that little book with the little lock, and I had that when I was growing up. But I had one of those mothers who was really, really strict and really, really religious, so I couldn't really write down my innermost things. So I kind of gave that up because if she, let me tell you, one time, I'm gonna tell this little funny from growing up. But one time, me and my girl cousin, who I call her like my sister, we that close. But we were, and we couldn't listen to hip hop, rap, none of that, So we were sneaking, listening to Salt-N-Pepa, and we had the tape. So you had to roll back the tape to get all the words. You know how it used to be back in the day, and we wanted all the lyrics and everything. So I'm up in my room. My mama gone. She was gone, but I was up in my room, and we listened to "I'll Take Your Man." And we writing down the lyrics and everything, and then we do "I'll take your man" right out the box. We just singing and singing. My mama come up there, who man y'all taking if y'all get you? We couldn't even write down a song without getting our butts toe up. When I tell you, she sent my cousin home. I got a whole whooping, even though I said Mama's just a song, but you shouldn't have been listening to it in the first place. And who man you going? It was a hot mess. So yeah, when I say we grew up in a really religious home, if I was to write some journals or some real stuff, I had to hide it under a floorboard or something because she would be all in my tea, like dragging me to the throne. Like, but yeah, a lot of us grew up like that, where we couldn't confide into our parents or our pastors or things like that because you just didn't talk about it. So I appreciate you being open. And people in the chat is saying thank you for sharing your story. Journalism is great therapy. And your sis said, I'm proud of you. Thank you for your deliverance and reconciliation back to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. And Miss Hall said, this was a great interview. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, Christina. Now, is there anything that you want to, any last minute words that you might want to say? Because you did say that I saw in the book that you do speak to people, you go places, and you talk to people, and you also, you're not, what's the title again? Because you said it's not a therapist.
It's a peer support wellness specialist,
Okay.
And I only went through that training because a lady had got my information from like the hospital and stuff.
Mhm.
And she heard me. I sat there and talked with her, and because that's how I won the Beacon of Light award,
Mhm.
for being open and transparent about my mental illness. And she was like, I told her I didn't want to be a therapist. I wanted to be able to talk openly. And she put me in with Region 6, and I became a peer support wellness specialist.
Okay.
And you can charge people for it, but I probably only got paid out of all the years I've been one, maybe 4 times. I rarely charge anybody because you really need somebody that can talk to you.
Right.
So I'll sit there and we'll talk. We'll go to a park. We'll go to a coffee shop, Burger King, you know, just talk
Mhm.
and just let them have an outlet. And so that's what I become. But
All right. And you still do that to this day? You still offer that to others?
I still do. I even talked to a police training a couple of years ago,
Mhm.
just to let them know when you're going into a situation where somebody has dealt with a suicide incident, don't treat the family as victims.
Right.
The family is still trying to process the whys.
Mhm.
Even when you have somebody that's attempted and that was not successful, do not bombard them with the whys.
Right.
Just be there, hug them, let them know that they have a purpose, love them. Because if you're going to ask them, people that attempt and that was not successful, they're going to try again. They're going to try again, especially if that's what they really want. And if they feel they don't have the support, they're going to try to attempt again sooner than we think. Um, don't, especially a kid, don't try whooping them when they get home, because we always put ourselves as, oh, you embarrassed me. Take yourself out of the equation. This ain't about you. This is about them. This is their moment.
Right.
um I just tell people healing does not happen overnight. Healing does not happen in a year. It's just like grief. Like there's 5 stages to grief, there's 5 stages to this. You have to process it. You're going to go through the different stages. You're going to go
Mhm.
to a stage where you hate yourself because it's like, now I got to deal with the embarrassment of everybody looking at me. My
Yeah.
brother, my this guy named Sean I went to school with, we grew up in the church with, he like my brother. And when I did finally get my phone and my battery back in, he's so nosy, he was listening to the police scanner. And I had read a text from him. He was like, "Sis, are you good? Like, I heard like your address and stuff on." And I'm like, when you read it months later, you like, dude, you really was nosy. Like, you got a police scanner. You can laugh at things like that now
Yeah.
because I'm that nosy too. But
Right.
so it's like, dude, you really don't realize all of the people you would have impacted and left
Mhm.
behind.
Mhm.
So
You're
even
right.
though you feel like you don't have a support system, reach out. Even I don't care if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, call. They
Mhm.
will know that something, a real friend, a real family member, someone that really cares and love you is going to take time to listen. I'm a firm believer that I wake up at 3:50 every morning. And I used to be like, why? But my Medea used to always tell me, baby, God's talking to you. Just
Mhm.
listen. You may not hear or understand at that moment, but listen. So every morning about 3:50ish, I wake up and I'm
Mhm.
just laying there and I'm just like, what is it now, God? You know? So just listen. Cry. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to have bad days. It's
Mhm.
okay to fail. Just get back up.
Yep.
It,
Yep.
it's
Get back up and try again.
it's okay to vent. I I could tell, like, if one or two people reach out to me and say, like, I'm having a bad day, I will go on Facebook and post the most craziest, nastiest memes, because laughter. I find healing, laughter is a part of healing for me. So
Mhm.
I will go and post the craziest stuff on social media because I know it's going to help somebody. But at the end of the night, they're going to be like, girl, thank you. I needed that. Like,
right.
But some people get so scared to post stuff on Facebook. I don't, because
You already know I post everything on
yes,
Facebook.
listen,
They were there, Tanya. You post like 20 times a day. Like,
listen, I am not. I was never the one to be cliquish. I was friends with everybody. I don't try to fit
same
in.
here.
I suffered with low self-esteem all my life. You know, I've always felt like the black sheep in certain tables, but there are certain tables I will never join just because I see the cliquishness, and I don't. And I ain't even probably ain't even a word, but I just don't want to be grouped with that because I'm my
I
own
know exactly
person.
what you mean.
I just don't want to be a part of that. I don't look for recognition. I don't look for validation in nothing that I do. I could post something. I don't care if I get a like or anything. It says, what is your status? You know?
Right.
So I don't care if I get 1 like or 300. This is what I feel in the moment. This is what for me. So stop looking for validation. The only person you need validation from is the person who you were yesterday. That's it.
Right. Right.
And
And what do you want to say about Facebook? You have to touch on that because
Facebook,
a lot of people, Facebook can be a delusion. Like,
Facebook, right.
illusion, I should say.
Listen, Facebook could be used for many purposes. It could be used for fundraising, promotions, motivational reasons. It could be used for blasting people. It could be used for anything these days, you know. Don't allow Facebook, because people could paint a picture that their life is so perfect and their life could be crumbling. The foundation could be holding up with some gorilla glue that's barely there. You know, Facebook is just Facebook that gets paid. Them people, somebody that sat in their basement, their mama's basement, and now is a billionaire. So don't allow what people post on Facebook, because those same people that's posting on Facebook that they happy are the same ones that's crying behind that keyboard. Don't allow Facebook to make you feel. I tell people all the time, I'm not perfect. My husband friends be like, oh, y'all the perfect black couple. No. Let me stop you there. We have our issues, but one thing we've always agreed, I will never go to social media and downplay my husband and vice versa, because once you do that, you open the doors for everybody else. So we can
please stop doing that. Please stop disrespecting people on Facebook. Then come back next week. Oh, I love him.
No, that's one thing we always agreed to, because we could have the most heated argument ever, and the family will walk in and we'll be like, yep, what up, babe? You know, because once you open that door, it's hard to close it, because you start allowing everybody else's opinions in. So I don't use Facebook to down somebody. I will post if there's like a child molester or whatever, but I'm gonna do my research first before I put them out there, because the worst thing is to put somebody out there without. If you don't got arrested, got a court case pending, listen, it's real. So
right, you already know how the hood table is.
Yes.
A lot of people be like, see, this one thing I don't like about our community, and I done said it before, and I'll say it again. A lot of times in the community, they don't want the community discussing what's going on in the community. But it's okay if Channel 7 do it. It's okay if Channel 6 do it. Channel 3, Fox 42. It's okay if all those different news stations discuss what's going on in our community. But as soon as we make a post about somebody in our community that we happen to see on the news, there's like, oh, people just always want to gossip, and people just always want to, speak negative. Like, once you put I'm a YouTuber, and I've been a YouTuber for years, and there's YouTubers who say certain things about their personal life or whatever sometimes on YouTube. Then they get upset when other YouTubers is discussing it. We have this rule on YouTube between the YouTube community, the beef sector, and all those different sectors. If you put it out there, don't get mad when somebody speaks on it. If you don't want your shit out there, don't put shit out there. If you don't want nobody discussing what you're going through, if you don't want nobody discussing you robbing a bank or smoking crack, don't go out there and do the stuff. And you know what I'm saying? So one thing we have to learn about our community is if we don't speak about it, somebody else is gonna speak about it. So why not speak about it all us together? Maybe we can make a change, make a difference.
And you do, and everybody, when I go back to being cliquish, people be like, oh, my circle's tight. Clearly your circle's not tight, because if the outsider is getting tea to the inside, the little inside circle, there's a leak somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't have a circle. I have family. Like when you come from a female dominant family, it is very few select people that you have in your circle. My sister friend, I have a sister friend, Tish, and we like, listen, that's probably the only person we could reach out and be like, girl, did you be like, girl? Then we be like, you know, you got those people that you know you can like call and it'll stay right there.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's just like, I don't do that, because
Right.
at the end of the day, then you'll be part of somebody's group chat or big
Oh, trust
headline.
me, I know it didn't happen to me before, and you know I got past it. We got over it, but I didn't have a situation before where I didn't say something to somebody and they got out to other people, and I'm like, damn, I'm that friend that you said when you said. I can lay my hand on the Bible right now. I am that friend, and a lot of friends know me to be that friend that they can tell me stuff, and they ain't gotta say don't say no. They ain't even gotta say that to me. They don't have to say it. They don't have to say don't say this, don't do this. And I got like 8 YouTube channels, so many different platforms. I know so much stuff about so many people, and I'm like, I treat people how I want to be treated. If somebody confides in me about something they're going through, then you're confiding in me and not the city, not, you know.
That's like my aunt just said. She said,
know.
Tina's a PI. I'm going to investigate. I am going to have, I can have all the tea, but don't call me for it, because people be like, girl, and I'll be sitting there like, no, I ain't heard. No, I have all the tea. And my family know I will have all the tea. But people will be like, girl, no. But
that's like me. I'll be having tea, child. I'll be having tea, but I know what tea not.
And then people be like, well, how did you get the tea if they circle so tight? And I just be like, because you know, men pillow talk too.
Oh, yes,
men pillow talk. And as a peer support,
than we do.
But the thing is, as a peer support wellness specialist, you know, you do take an oath. You do keep things like a therapist do. You got to keep things confidential, you know. So when I say men pillow talks, and it's just like you sit there and you got to keep that straight face, because you like, they'll ask you, do you know? So you be like, I do. So this may be a conflict. They be like, no. And then they just go on and you just be like, wow, I didn't even know this, you know. And you just got to sit there and you still got to just let them vent. And I don't treat them no different, you know, because that's them. And that goes to the thing. I watched the movie the other day and it said people are so stuck on, they know you because you're popular. But they know of you because you're popular, but they don't know you. So there's a major difference in that. You may know somebody because of what you heard, but you don't know them. Like, get to know a person
for yourself.
You could tell me such and such this, she hood, she that, she ratchet. Okay, that's the interaction you had with her. Let me get to know her for her. You know, I will never not engage or be friends with anybody based off of what somebody else does. Never.
Right.
Now, if you got beef with my family,
we could be all of the above. Like me, I call myself Bougetto.
I'm Gigi. I'm ghetto.
Depending on what day you catch me, I can be professional.
Yeah. You know which hat to wear at what and what
Thank you.
In what setting. You do know which hat to wear, but don't wear the hat of your suicidal thoughts. In the closet. Wear it out in the open or whatever. Yes, no more closed doors on Amazon. But you do have my
Girl,
other book.
Christina Nance.
And
The other one. Okay. Now we're not gonna get into
no,
this other one, y'all, like we did the first one, because these are two totally different books, and views and thoughts. So I'm gonna have Christina back after I read this second book. And the second one is called Breaking Generational Curses. And oh my God, that's one thing I really tried to do when I was raising my children. So I am really looking forward to reading this one.
that book, my mom designed the cover.
I
That is
saw that. I
nice.
saw her name on the bottom.
Yes, my mom she does draw. She
Uh-huh.
did design the cover. Now, a little bit of that book is it's a book journal. Because
Okay.
I'm a big advocate on journaling. I know there are still individuals that refuse, will not go to therapy. So it's just kind of like helping you cope with things so that way you could be a better you. You could begin your healing process behind your four walls. You know, you is going to ask you some questions.
Mhm.
It's going to make you dig deep. It's going to make you I think the hardest curse in there for me to talk about was molestation.
Mhm.
Um because it was two family members, so it was very hard. I did
Mhm.
not go into death with my story in
Yeah.
there, because this book was not about me. It's more for you.
Right.
um, that's why I did not put like about the author on there or
Mhm.
picture, because this is your personal therapy behind your four doors.
Well, I'm
Your four.
excited to read it, because a lot of these things on here, like it says breaking generational curses, and then it has like this axe that's breaking like this wall, and it has all these pieces and fragments coming off, and they're saying molestation, poverty, addiction, resentment, instability, abuse, and a lot of those things I can definitely relate to. So I am looking forward to reading this and then interviewing you about this book. It'll either be later. Well, this week is almost over. It'll probably be like next week, sometime when we get together or whenever you're free. But I want to read the back of the book. It says, "We allow the stigma of talking with a therapist or counselor stop us from seeking help. This book journal is the first step to healing. It will allow you to be open and freely express yourself. This book/journal will help you focus on the different generational curses that affected you and your family. It will allow you to confront your past in the privacy of your own home. This book/journal will help you forgive. Forgiveness is not for the individuals who caused your hurt, but for you." And ooh, you said a lot with that last one, because that, when I say some of these things from generational curses, I can relate to. That is one. Forgiving people who have hurt you is for us, not them.
It
So
is.
yes,
And
but
you could,
ooh,
Miss Jackson, you could get that book, both books on Amazon.
sure will. And I'm gonna put both links. I'm gonna put both links on excuse me, on the description box. But while we're still here, let me just go ahead and see.
And thank you, Miss Jackson. My mom designed the book. That was part of our
Yes.
healing process, is um us getting over and coming back together and letting her know that I wanted her to be a part of this book so we could show everybody. And as you'll see when you read that book, there is a letter that I did write to my mom, um, of forgiving her and just, a lot. And so I had her design the book, and I kept telling her, "Listen, lady, you need to make sure you get this cover done. We got a deadline." But she
Hmm.
got it done for me. So
Yeah.
thank
Well, it
you.
looks like the link is too long to put in the chat. So
Oh,
what I'm gonna have to do, I already got the link in the description box. As soon as this video wraps up, you'll be able to find the links to both books in the video description box. So all you have to do is come back to the video, go down below in the description box. It's going to have Christina's email, which is already there. It also has her Facebook book author page, which is already in the description box, and it has the link to her books in the description box. So it won't let me, these chats where we type in the little chat, you can only put so many words. and the Amazon links are kind of long.
And
So
I do respond to emails right away. I used to give out my phone number, but I used to get the most weirdest phone calls ever. You know, you with the territory, it comes with a lot of things.
girl, that's why I got me an old Google number that I'll be using on my platform. I don't know if that's something you might be interested in, but like sometimes when we be doing shows, we do call-ins and stuff like that, or if we planning stuff, I'll use me an old Google phone number. Those are free. You can just download Google Voice on your phone, or you know,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
but
do something.
that's an option, and you can always change the phone number and stuff like that. But yeah, that's an option. But yeah, I know what you mean about giving out your phone number to everybody. Like,
Yes.
yeah, I gotcha. But yeah, this was a great interview. Again, thank you so very, very much for gracing our platform with your presence, for taking time out on your evening. I know it's almost going on 10 o'clock, but which is okay, which is okay. I tried to keep it as close to an hour as possible, but you know how it is sometimes, you know,
The spirit
sometimes
moves.
the spirit, yeah, the spirit moves you, then you got to keep moving. Okay. So
Yes.
that's what we did tonight. And I hope a lot of people got something out of this interview. And again, I hope they go check out your books. Now, again, this second one, the one we reviewed tonight was called No More Locked Doors. I mean, no more locked doors from
Lord.
Friday. From Friday, right? One of my favorite lines. This was called No More Closed Doors by Christina Nance, and that's the one we did review tonight. Now, this other one, make sure you guys go out and get this book too. Get both of the books, and definitely get this one because we're going to be reviewing this in about a week or so. So it's Breaking Generational Curses. This is what the book looks like, and again, it's by author Christina Nance. And I'll have both of the links on face. I'll have both of the links on the description box and her contact information as well. So yes, thank you, Allison. Allison said, "It's been a pleasure, ladies."
Thank you.
Christina, I will support you, boo. Oh, you have so much support. You have a lot of support.
Thank
A
you.
lot
I
of
really
people look up to
appreciate
you.
it. And listen, I am not perfect. I stress that. I am far from perfect.
Mhm.
I am still healing. Still healing. Every day I'm healing
It's
still.
a
So
process.
it
It's a
is.
process. Yep. And Miss Hall said, "Thank you for sharing your story again." Yes, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Because everybody is not strong enough or brave enough to share their story. So I have to commend people who are willing to be open and transparent. Because again, it could help somebody. And it seems like in your line of work that you're doing now as well, it seems like you're being a help to other people who might be going through similar things. So I'm thankful that you are still here. You are still among us to be able to help somebody else who might be going through the same thing. Oh yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And everybody who's just came in, if you're late, rewind the video, watch it from the beginning. Make sure you share it out, and make sure you purchase both of her books. I'll have the links again. I'm gonna show them one more time. One more time. No More Closed Doors by Christina Nance. And the one we're going to interview next time is going to be Breaking Generational Curses. So if you want those books, they're both on Amazon. And again, I'll put the link. So we are promoting our sister here. Y'all know how we do over here on the hood table. We promote, promote, promote. So
Thank
yes, good
you.
night, Camellia. That's your sister right now. Am I saying her name right? Is it Camellia or Camilla?
Camellia like the flower.
Camellia. Oh, I had it right. Okay. But good night, beautiful. And I'm so glad that you have a support system around you now. And I'm just grateful that you were here tonight with us.
They've always been there. I just did not open my
You
eyes.
didn't know it. You didn't know it. You didn't know it. So yeah. But yep. So everybody, make sure you like and share the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, please, and thank you very, very much. And on that note, as we always say when we close down the show, stay blessed, be safe, remain vigilant at all times, and always remember to keep it hood. Bye.
Bye bye.
Good night.